Hello and welcome to the Boot Room. Andy, Warren and Stuart Watson here to look ahead to Ipswich Town's League One clash with Wycombe Wanderers. Stu, Ipswich going into this game on the back of defeat at Plymouth, a spirited defeat, a defeat in which they had chances, but a defeat in which they conceded some silly goals at poor times to ultimately lose a game where they maybe deserve something from it to the league leaders. It's the third place chair boys in this one, and it's going to be a very, very different game, isn't it? More of a technical one down at home park, but I think that the physicality of Ipswich is going to be tested that little bit more at Adams Park for a game under the lights.
Yeah, Wycombe became sort of an organic rivalry, kind of grew with them in Ipswich's first season down in League One. Some dodgy refereeing performances in those games. Wycombe probably profited from the season being called off when it was and got themselves into the Championship. They're back in League One now, but I think that a lot of their hallmarks are still the same under Gareth Ainsworth. I think they'll go direct at times. They'll get the ball on top of you, lots of balls into the box, and it's working for them thus far. They are second in the table at the moment. Is that right?
Third now.
Third in the table now. I knew that was wrong as I said it. But their home record at Adams Park is really, really good. Played 6, won 6 in the league so far at home. That record actually stretches to 9 straight wins if you include the trophy and a couple of games at the back end of last season when they gave it a spirited go in trying to stay up. So a tricky game for Ipswich off the back of their long journey back from Plymouth. Going to be a big crowd. In fact, I think it's going to be their biggest home midweek crowd for almost 20 years at Wycombe, with Ipswich obviously selling out their 1,800 away end. So can Ipswich get themselves back on track? That seems like a bit of a, maybe I'm overstating it there, back-to-back wins, just slightly derailed at the weekend. But chance to get, this would be a statement win against one of the teams that are up there at the top of the table.
It would, yep. Some familiar faces in there. Adebayo Akinfenwa, of course, the beast, still going up top. I think he scored at the weekend. They've still got the set-piece threat of Joe Jacobson at left back, who scored a lot of penalties and some free kicks on the way to success in League One a couple of years ago. But some new faces in there as well, aren't there, Stu? Like Sam Vokes, Hanlon up front. I think he was at Bristol Rovers previously. It's a physical approach. But don't necessarily think you know exactly what Wycombe are going to throw at you in terms of system in this game, which could be interesting for Ipswich.
Yeah, I think Paul Cook said recently that Ipswich keep running into teams that play 3 at the back, which they've found difficult at times. Gareth Ainsworth has mixed things up quite a bit this season. In fact, I think after the game at the weekend in which they led 3-1 at Fleetwood and ultimately drew 3-3, he said he quite liked the fact that opposition managers don't really know what to expect from him in terms of formation. Sometimes it's been wing-backs, sometimes it's been a back 4. At the weekend, it was a 4-4-2 with Sam Vokes, who we all know as a striker, playing more as a wide left player in that game. I heard the reporter say to Gareth Ainsworth that sometimes it resembled more of a 4-2-4. Such was the advanced nature of the two wingers. So very hard for Paul Cook to prepare tactically. That said, Paul Cook's always been at pains to say he doesn't really pay too much attention to the opposition. It's about what we do. We know he's a 4-2-3, one man, and it's about sort of ironing out some of those kinks that continue to haunt Ipswich this season, most notably sort of game management. As you said, they're conceding goals at poor times. We know they've got goals in them. We know they can take the lead. It's just about, seeing out those 5 minutes after they score, seeing it out to half-time, game management at key moments. So let's see if Ipswich can do that a little bit better this time.
So we know we feel sure we know what system Ipswich will go with. It will be a 4-2-3-1. It's very unlikely it's going to deviate from that. But what we don't know is necessarily the personnel available to Paul Cook in this one. A real blow at the weekend on the morning of the Plymouth game to lose Janoy Danassian at right back and Wes Burns, who I feel sure would have started wide on the right of the attacking 3, given that Sonny Aluko was already ruled out with an injury himself. Those two ill, Burns and Donacien, travelled back from Plymouth together, and Paul Cook genuinely didn't know after the game if they would be available to him for this one. But Donacien in particular, given everything you've just said about Sam Vokes potentially playing a bigger striker up in a wide midfield, wide attacking role, his availability, Donacien, feels like it could be a big one for Ipswich should he be good to come back.
Yeah, Luke Wolfenden and Kane Vincent-Young are both good players, but they're different players to Janoy Donacien. Janoy Donacien has been labelled one of the best 1v1 defenders in the league. If it was to be Sam Vokes, big diagonals going across to him, I'd feel far more comfortable with Janoy facing that than Luke Wolfenden, who is not necessarily renowned for being a big aerial defender, centre half, sort of playing at right back, and Kane Vincent-Young, we've not seen him for a little while. Whether he'd be if Janoy's not fit, it'd be interesting to see whether Kane would be preferred to Luke Wolfenden at right back or not. But that's a key area of the pitch for me, whether they can get Donacien back available following that illness at the weekend.
And another key area, which I think we've discussed this position in the pitch, sort of heading into probably the last 2 or 3 games, is the wide left role in Paul Cook's attacking three. Kyle Edwards has that shirt at the moment. He started the last few, but Bersant Salina, clearly you can't ignore him for a start for too long. But are there any other variations of that attacking three behind undoubtedly Macaulay Bonne that we could potentially see in here? Because for me, if you're doing one like-for-like change in there, I could see Salina coming in for Edwards, but it's not impossible. There's some kind of mini reshuffle in there, do you think?
Yeah, there's a couple of slight reshuffles that I've got in mind. If you wanted to go match up Wycombe's 4-4-2 a bit more, you're not completely abandoning your principles. Joe Pigott could come in from left field, and you could go with the Bonne Pigott front two and play more of a 4-4-2 if you wanted to. That would probably see Connor Chaplin move wide because he was in really good form. Okay, a little bit quieter at the weekend, but I don't think enough to sort of take him out of the side. Or the alternative would be to maybe bring in Raheem Harper and play more of a midfield three. So a variation on that 4-2-3-1 becomes more of a 4-3-3, a 4-5-1 out of possession, if you like. Again, maybe moving Chaplin out to a wider role. So there's a couple of ideas there. If not, like you said, it's arguably then whether Salina comes in for Edwards as a straight swap on the left potentially, and whether who's fit to play on the right. Of course, I think Wes Burns is ideal for these sort of games. You're going to get the defensive work rate, especially if you've not got your first choice right back there. I think he would really help out down that side. Is it impossible that he could even play at right back? I hadn't really considered that as well. And but I don't think we're going to be seeing Hayden Coulson right wing again. That's for sure.
I'll tell you what I am looking forward to, and I imagine this matchup will present itself. I'm looking forward to watching Toto and Ciala handle Akinfenwa. I think that could have the makings of a really interesting, quite even actually, battle throughout the course of the evening. There's obviously Cameron Burgess on the fringes of things, but I can't see Cook shifting up that central defensive two at the moment. But I'm looking forward to seeing that one and see how that one potentially plays out.
He doesn't tend to sort of play twice in 4 days these days, Akinfenwa, does he? I think they sort of manage his minutes a bit more, but he's still a real handful. He started at the weekend, he scored. Might be more of a bench option for them on this one, but I'm sure he'll get on at some point. And you're right, that's a battle to look out for.
So what's your prediction then, Stu? We always end the boot room videos with a prediction for this game. I'm going to go first, and I'm going to go with an El Clasico Ipswich Town option at the moment, although we haven't seen it for a little while now. I'm going to go with the old 2-2 draw that we've seen a few times this season. I think this could be another one, a game where both sides will be pushed on by big support behind them. Both score twice. Ipswich to equalise late as well. Let's go with that. What are you saying?
Yeah, I'm not sure what to expect from this one. I think the crowd under the lights will have an effect, but both teams coming back from long journeys at the weekend. Ipswich have been down to Plymouth. They've been up to Fleetwood. Ainsworth talked about his team looking a little bit leggy towards the end. Ipswich cooks without 1 or 2 players as well. I think I hate to be pessimistic here, Andy, but I've got Ipswich down for a narrow defeat at 2-1, just because I think they've struggled with that more physical approach at times. If I look back to the Burton, the Cheltenham, the Accrington games, teams that stick the ball on top of them, get them into the box, make it more of a frenetic, scrappy game like that hasn't necessarily suited Ipswich too well. So sadly, that's what I've got them down for. But as ever, I always hope I'm wrong.
We all hope you're wrong, Stu. We all do. That's it for the Boot Room. You can follow the game live with us on Tuesday night, both online and then in print the following morning. And we'll see you next time.